Welcome to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We're coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We are live right here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We're so pleased that you are with us on this Saturday morning, because if it's Saturday and you hear the cry of no justice, no peace, then you know this is where the action is. It's also Saturday, and throughout the broadcast we will be celebrating the birthday of the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. So our president and founder is the birthday man, Reverend Al Sharpton. The chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm attorney Michael Hardy, and it will be a great birthday celebration today on the air, across the waves, all over the country, as we come to you in every way and every shape for our birthday celebration today and our broadcast for the birthday of Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. Of course, every week we remind you that we ask you to be here on Mondays for the Youth Huddle, which meets on Monday, October 3rd, beginning at 6 p.m. So you want to make sure you spread the word and get into the action with our youngest and brightest dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. For more information on the Youth Huddle, you can always call 877-626-4651. You can also email nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. Also, we remind you to make sure you tune in to MSNBC's Politics Nation, 5 p.m. on Saturday, 5 p.m. on Sunday. That's Politics Nation on MSNBC. You want to tune in 5 p.m. today, Saturday, 5 p.m. tomorrow, MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Of course, it's Saturday. Our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house. He'll have some new surprises for you. And as we get ready to go, we know we've got a full house today, and we're going to kick it off right now with the New York State Assembly member in the great village of Harlem, our dear brother Al Taylor.
Thank you, Brother Hardy. Good morning. No justice? No justice? Are we in the action house? No justice! No justice! That's what I'm talking about. I am here this morning to celebrate and lend one voice to an amazing man, a living legend, and someone that won't take no for an answer. You know, there used to be a thing on television. They say, well, I'm going to call my lawyer. In the hood, you're going to call Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton. No justice! I am so glad to be here this morning. Good morning to each and every one of you all. I am so happy, and I know there's only 30 seconds for me to speak, and I'm just happy to lend my support. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to speak before this marvelous worship team, because, boy, ain't nothing like preaching after a good song or two. Amen? Amen. I am Reverend Al, also with Reverend Al Taylor, and I pastor Infinity Mennonite Church up the street. But God is able to do what is the best way to say it? He's able to do exceedingly, abundantly more than we can ever imagine or hope for. And we know we are no ways tired. So let's continue to lift up Dr. Sharpton in prayer and hold his hands up when it's weary. And when people are trying to tell us who our leaders should and should not be, we already know the deal. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, thank you, Assemblyman Taylor. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going out to the great borough of Brooklyn and Council Member Rita Joseph.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. No justice? No peace. No justice? No peace. This brings brings me back full circle. 19 years, I started organizing when I was 19 years old, so this brings me full circle. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Brooklyn's in the house, and thank you for having us. The center of the universe. Sorry, Harlem. Good morning. My name is Rita Joseph, and I have the privilege of representing Central Brooklyn. And I feel like I'm back home, indeed, full circle. I wanted to wish the Reverend a happy birthday. I can't just say how great he looks. He looks amazing at 40. I remember when I was 19 years old organizing on behalf of Haiti, the Reverend was right there to back me up. So here as a council member and the chair of education fighting hard on behalf of New York City children, you paved the way for those who look like me. Thank you, Reverend, thank you. As everyone knows, I've done a lot of work, he's done a lot of work on behalf of Haiti. As the first Haitian American woman to be elected to the seat, I just want to say thank you to the Reverend on behalf of the Haitian American community. I want to say last year for our earthquake and the assassination of the president, he was right there in Brooklyn standing with us, raising his voice and asking for accountability. His generosity, the support of NAN, I can't tell you how much our community appreciates that. Like so many, we have a friend in you and you have a friend in us. And the work continue, and let's continue to celebrate an amazing man. Happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton, and thank you for having me. Derek, thank you so much. Love you, my brother. Thank you. No justice? No justice?
All right, thank you for that. We're going to stay right there in the great borough of Brooklyn. We're going to go to the home church of the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton and the current senior pastor at Bethany Baptist Church, the Honorable Dr. Adolphus Lacey, senior pastor of Bethany Baptist Church and Reverend Sharpton's pastor.
Amen. No justice, no justice. It's certainly good to be here with you all again. Just be able to celebrate this great man of God. Dr. Sharpton continues to bless us over and over again. And I think prophetically of Genesis chapter 8:22, which says, in seed time and in harvest. That mean, again, Tom Joyner said he was the hardest working man in America, but really it is Reverend Dr. Sharpton. I mean, it is. And especially being around his team, he can do everybody's job. He can do security, am I right? He can speak, he can run the camera, he can do the countdown. He doesn't miss anything, and that shows his strength, and it certainly shows his humility. And on his birthday, I want to let him know I'm always listening to him, because I know he's always listening to me as well. And I just decided on yesterday when I went to go do my will, I left some money for him in my will. But he got to wait for me to die in order to get it, be able to bless him. But no, we are certainly excited for him, and as his pastor, very proud of him. And it is my job to issue a priestly blessing upon him and also upon the National Action Network. Comes from Numbers chapter 6. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and give you peace. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Amen.
All right, Pastor Lacey, thank you so much for that. Right now, brothers and sisters, it's our musical director under the direction. Joining us this morning is Sister Tisha Hutton.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Hallelujah. In all things, we give thanks this morning for waking us up. Amen. Listen, tragedies are commonplace. All kinds of diseases people are slipping away. Economy's down, you can get in a way. But as for me, all I can say is, thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Ooh, yeah. Without home, in the
That was Sister Tisha Hutton. Of course, all of this is under the direction of our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, and it's a great day here at the National Action Network because we are celebrating the birthday of the president and founder of the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and right now we're going to have Dr. Alvin Ponder, Vice President of the New York City chapter, come with greetings on behalf of the chapter. Let's welcome.
Thank you very much. This is a great day. Let's give him a round of applause. On behalf of the New York City chapter, on behalf of our president of the chapter, Bill Griffin, we'd like to wish our leader a happy 68th birthday. Just a few weeks ago, Dr. Sharpton was so kind to recognize my birthday. Had Dr. Richardson come all the way out to Brooklyn, East New York, and wrote out a nice little piece. And I'm so glad to return the favor. And again, once again, on behalf of the New York City chapter, we wish our leader a very, very, very happy birthday. Thank you.
What's on your mind? That's right, it is Saturday, and so our dear sister Katrina Jefferson is here because she wants to know, with all that's going on across the country, what's on your mind, and something that should be on your mind today may have the initials RAS, but I don't know. It's on my mind. Good morning, Katrina.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are here live to celebrate our fearless leader, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, on his birthday. To those that are listening by way of WLIB 1190 AM, and to those that are watching by way of streaming on our Facebook page and our website, welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the people, you, the community, have the opportunity to interact with the National Action Network 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. I'm going to bypass the line. We've got a couple of people, and I'm going to call the young man first, because as the scripture says, a child believe him. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with us what's on your mind.
My name is Kaden, and I'm from Harlem. And what's on my mind is that I won the Apollo, and I'm coming back October 12th.
You won the Apollo. When did you play the Apollo?
I recited a poem that I wrote.
You wrote a poem. Do you want to say it today for us?
Go ahead. Who am I? A child, a black male child, wanting to live but not afraid to die, wanting to make my ancestors proud. Who am I? Hope and faith, hope to see a better world, fighting for justice and peace. So tired, hope it will cease. Who am I? Faith that racism will be a thing of the past. No more police brutality. Let's change that mentality into reality. Who am I? Someone aspiring to change the track. No more black on black. That crime is whack. Who am I? Knowledge to understand that all my brothers and sisters did not have to die. They didn't commit any vicious crimes. They were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Who am I? Power to speak out without a doubt. George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Eric Gardner, and Sean Bell. Do those names ring a bell?
Yes.
Who am I? Just a black male child, wanting justice and peace. Who am I? A black male child, hoping it will cease. Who am I? A black male child, and that's who I am, a black male child.
Who is 8 years old.
Heaven, born in Holland. I'm 71 years old and new, and I'm a National Action Network lifetime member. What we just saw here is why National Action Network is so important. We have a young man who obviously is on the right track because he's a member of men already and got a lot of things to say at 8 years old. And he has a wonderful family that's speaking him in the Lord. And that's another reason why he's here. So I want to be key and be consistent. I want to say it's my opinion, but I believe Christ Jesus was democratic. He provided services to everybody, regardless of whatever. Democratic. So the one thing that I know for sure is he also encouraged us to use our courage. And our courage is also in voting. Voting for who we believe will represent what we're striving for, which is peace and justice. And God bless you. And I really feel really grateful to have this young man a member of National Action Network.
Thank you so much for coming. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with us what's on your mind.
Good morning, my name is Crystal, and I am a member of the National Action Network. I just wanted to sing a little bit of this song for Reverend Sharpton's birthday. Woo! Jesus, Jesus the Lamb, the great I am, wonderful and majesty, the word on whom I stand, giver of life to every man. I lift my hands, oh God, and worshiping your presence. I know I can't sing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and that concludes this weekend's conversation for the sake of time of what's on your mind. Keep in mind, everything that you heard here were the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly, and you are invited to interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. My name is Katrina Jefferson, and it's a pleasure to turn it back over to you, Attorney Hochul.
Thank you, Katrina Jefferson, the liaison to President Sharpton and also the coordinator here of all things at the House of Justice. Right now, brothers and sisters, it is the honor and privilege of us today to bring to you Pastor Joseph Johns. He's the pastor at Mount Hermon Baptist Church in Boogie Down, Bronx. Let's welcome.
Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I would tell you to praise the Lord, but I'm sick and tired of telling grown people to do what they ought to know how to do. If you ain't figured out by now that God gave you life, health, and strength, and you should praise Him, what do you need me for? If you ain't figured out that you didn't die from COVID and you should give God the praise, you don't need me. You ain't figured out that God has been good to you, you ought to know by now that you should go ahead and praise the Lord. I am peacock proud and honeymoon happy to be standing here in a place that I have come to many times to understand that the fight is never over. It is never over because somehow or another the enemy has redoubled his efforts to make sure that we stay marginalized, disrespected, and continually left out of everything. But this is why we take out this time to celebrate this man, this visionary, this giant of all kinds of effort. Did you ever consider what he lost to defend us? Did you ever consider what he suffered to stand for us? Did you ever consider how many nights he didn't sleep when you were asleep? How many times he showed up when we didn't show up? How many times he was disrespected so that you could be respected? And for that reason, I decided that my covers and my sheets and my pillows on this cool morning of rain did not keep me from coming all the way from Brooklyn to tell my friend and my brother, Reverend Al Sharpton, how much I appreciate him. I met him when I was about 14 years old at my father's church, Greater Zion Shallow Baptist Church, where the Reverend Dr. G.T.M. Jones Sr., who is alive and still able to tell you what thus saith the Lord. And he allowed this young man to come and preach, and I was amazed at his prolific and profound ability, and I decided that he's so good at it, I don't want to be that. He's so good at it, they don't need me. And then somewhere along my life, God hit me in the back of my head and said, you can do that too. Because when you watch somebody do it well, you kind of want to emulate how he does it too. For by the power of the spoken word, he changed the course of government. By the power of the spoken word and the stance that he took, he changed laws in this government. And for that reason, we must always celebrate him. But the greater question is what else are we going to do to make sure that whenever the time comes that he has to stop or he has to rest, are we going to pick up the mantle and continue? Who's going to stand when he's forced to sit? We can't allow this birthday to be the only thing we celebrate. Let's celebrate the future leaders. Let's celebrate the ones that are coming behind because of the road that he paved. And because of that, we should thank God for Reverend Al Sharpton, who built this road for us to have. I give respect and honor to all of the leaders behind us and all those in their respective places. But that respect comes with a price. Everybody in here paid a price, but no better price than what Reverend Sharpton paid. We must stand shoulder to shoulder together in honor of his work so that nobody will ever be able to say that he only fought by himself. May God bless you.
All right. Reverend Jones, thank you so much for that. Right now, once again, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
For the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared. But if the storm don't cease, and if the winds keep on blowing in my life, my soul has been and God is the Lord. Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared.
Richardson, accompanied by, and you see them and hear them, and they are there. Tyrone Richardson, thank you so much for that. Right now, brothers and sisters, she has been a true activist down through the years and has done so much in this city. Many of you have seen her in so many different places around the city, and currently she is a council person representing her district now, and that's Councilwoman Julie Menon.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here to wish Reverend Sharpton a very, very happy birthday. And I just want to tell two quick stories about the long relationship I've had with National Action Network, House of Justice, and the Rev. So first of all, I first started working with Reverend Sharpton when I chaired Community Board 1 in Lower Manhattan after 9/11. And we had a very difficult issue there, which was, and you may remember it, there was a project called the Ground Zero Mosque, where a group wanted to build an Islamic cultural center and mosque right near Ground Zero. I stood up in favor of the project. I had death threats, hundreds of them, and Rev called me up and said, "How can I help?" Because that is the kind of person he is. And he came to my community and he stood up in favor of the project and helped our community and taught about tolerance, about respect for religious freedom. That is the kind of leader that he is time and time again. He gives power to the voiceless, he helps those in need, and that is how I forged a friendship with him almost 20 years ago. Now, more recently, I served as a city census director, and once again, Rev said, "How can I help?" And he came up with this idea that we would take a bus, a census bus, all around the city of New York, and we put Rev on top of that bus. Yeah, and he would make sure that everyone filled the census out. You remember that, Derek, I know it. And so in 2020 in March, we were all set to come here to House of Justice and we were gonna launch the census bus. And then COVID hit. But Reverend Sharpton, as he always is, says, "How can I help?" And he helped us become #1 city in the country on the census. So I'm just here today to say happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton. Thank you for everything that you have done for our city, for our country, to always stand up for those in need. Happy birthday.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Menon. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to go back to the great borough of Brooklyn. Reverend Eddie Karim, he's the moderator of the New York Missionary Baptist Association and past pastor of Bright Light Baptist Church in Brooklyn. Let's welcome.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy, to each one of you, my father's children. It is good to be here to celebrate today. You know, oftentimes we criticize leaders, but we have in the Reverend Al Sharpton a superior leader. One who, that's right. One who is fearless. One who does not mind speaking truth to power. Amen. He has sharp talk. Amen. And he keeps it real. And we are excited to be able to lend our voice to celebrate him today. You know, I want to share a little secret. I think I understand why Reverend Sharpton is the way he is. See, he was raised in Brownsville. Never ran, never will. And we want to say, Reverend Sharpton, we stand behind you and want to say happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton. Can I get everybody to say that with me? Happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton. God bless you.
All right, he was on the flight all the way from the great city of Los Angeles. He's the former chair of the Los Angeles chapter of the National Action Network, also president of the Baptist Ministers Conference in the great city of Los Angeles, California, the Reverend Dr. K.W. Toulis.
We're so grateful to Attorney Hardy, to my National Action Network family, We're so grateful to be here all the way from Los Angeles just to come and to wish our national leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, a happy birthday. I don't know about you, but when you think of the impact of Reverend Sharpton, of all that he has done for this world, he is one that is worthy of double honor. He took me up under his wings about a good 18 years ago, and he allowed me to roll and be a part of this Nan lineage. And I'm so grateful to be here today just to wish him a very happy birthday. And I want to thank each and every one of you all for coming out. As I said, I flew all the way from Los Angeles just to be a part of this grand celebration. And we're so grateful again to be here and to be a part of this celebration with Reverend Sharpton, because he means so much to Los Angeles. He means so much to this nation. He means so much to this world. Happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton, and God bless you, National Action Network. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Reverend Tulos. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to come back to the great village of Harlem, and we're going to do a little history, because we're going to bring up the pastor of the historic Mount Zion, AME Zion Church, right here in the village of Harlem, and a dear, dear friend of National Action Network, Reverend Malcolm Byrd.
Good morning, dear friends and partners in the struggle. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we rejoice at all times, and we are glad in it. Birthdays are very special within the Nan family and the Nan community, but this day every year is particularly special, is that this is the day that we come to give thanks to God for the life of our founder and our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton. When I was a student at Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina, I made up my mind that I wanted to be just like Reverend Sharpton. That's the truth. I found a big round medallion and I wore it all around campus. Some of you all remember that medallion, right? To this day, I can't tell you, Congressman Rangel, what was on that medallion. I don't know what was on it. I really don't remember. But all I remember was I wanted to be like Reverend Sharpton. I wanted to speak not only truth to power, but I wanted to speak power to truth. And that is a distinct difference. Anybody can stand up and wave their finger in the face of wrong, but can you speak power to the truths that you and I need to live each and every day? And we come to celebrate Reverend Sharpton today for the many and various times in which he has advocated for the needs of the marginalized, both here and abroad. I stand in this place every year on this birthday celebration simply to say, thank you, Rev, for being a force of nature. Thank you, Rev, for being a beacon of light in our community. And thank you, Rev, for agitating the gravel of injustice everywhere you go. Because of you, we as a people are indeed much better. Happy birthday, Rev, and we love you.
Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd, pastor of Mount Zion, Mother AME Zion Church in the great village of Harlem. Thank you so much. Right now, brothers and sisters, is another history maker. He has represented the great village of Harlem for so many years. He is with us this morning. You all know him. He is the Congressman Charles Rangel.
First, let me say to Michael, I have been a lawyer since 1960. And I know how much lawyers can make in the private sector. And I also know how much satisfaction people can get from doing what they believe in. But I tell you that Michael Hardy is special.
Right on.
And I'm glad that the Rev's not here to hear me say this. But I have encouraged Michael so many times to make some money, get a job, we go national, let the people say what we all know. This is one decent human being that's dedicated his life and has no ego, just talent.
Amen.
It's been an honor over the years. It's not that at 92 I'm saying goodbye to people, but and I remember so well when Reverend Sharpton was out there and I was running for election. And with the Reverend, I tell people, if you don't sit down and negotiate this, I'd go up to Harlem and talk to Reverend Al Sharpton. At that time, Sharpton was tearing people apart. And I was walking with him with paintbrushes, painting places that were selling drugs, doing things that the older I got, I just wondered, had I really lost my mind when I was younger? And today, to see that sophisticated individual who still can rattle it up here on Lenox Avenue, but at the same time, hold his own and better with any international leader, a national leader, and the popularity of television. And so I say to each and every one of you what Assemblywoman Dickens tells me quite frequently. You don't even have to be around Reverend Sharpton. Just act like you know Reverend Sharpton. You know, just suggest, you don't even have to mention his name. But if you say that, I think I have to discuss this with the Rev, they will say, you don't mean Sharpton.
Good point.
Because you never know who you're dealing with.
That's right. That's right.
And you take for granted things that are close to you. People who treat you like you're equal, you treat them like they're equal, and not know that you are talking or listened to or associated with an international personality that really doesn't have to work nearly as hard. We all know about the cases that have been brought to justice because you've seen him on television. What you don't know is the thousands of cases that have been brought to justice just because of the threat that the Reverend was about to be called. And it's not that he needs any help, but if we want to help ourselves and enhance ourselves, because slavery in terms of mentality of the white majority is not over in this country. I mean, it's not Trump. It's those crazy white folks that are prepared to tear down the government because of us. And they can count, and they're being outnumbered. So in conclusion, I would just like to say, wherever you go, if you make it abundantly clear that you know the Reverend, that you've been here for his birthday, things that you never think you can overcome will enhance the power that you have and the self-esteem that you enjoy. Because history's going to record the work that he has done. And he will be there with Dr. Martin Luther King and the late Adam Clayton Powell as having changed the attitude of people in this country. We ain't going nowhere, so we might as well improve what we got here. Happy birthday, Al Sharpton.
Congressman Charles Rangel, thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, a real treat right now. We are bringing up the Change Choir. You to get on your feet. At home, stand up. Put your hands together for not only the man who's celebrating a birthday, but the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
Justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now! Fist bump the person next to you, tell them you love them. Change will youngster, I became mesmerized with the image on television of Adam Clayton Powell. And that is what drew me into civil rights. At 12, I became part of Operation Breadbasket. 13, Reverend Jones and Reverend Jesse Jackson made me youth director in New York. Charlie Rangel talked about Adam, and one of the things that Adam Powell used to say that I didn't understand then, I thought it was cute. But I've learned that as you go through fights and trials and tribulations and ups and downs, that you've got to have something stronger than what's trendy. You got to have something stronger than what's popular. You got to have faith. Faith is stronger than trending. Faith is stronger than what's popular. But Adam said, if you keep the faith, baby, your change will come. Your change will come. Your change will come. In 1965, they marched from Selma to Montgomery. First Sunday to March, troopers stormed and beat John Lewis and Hosea Williams and others on that bridge. And then thousands came to finish the march. Among them that came to march from Selma to Montgomery was a young man from Harlem named Charles Rangel. Charles Rangel went from marching in Selma to get the right to vote to becoming the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, most powerful black in the U.S. government. He never gave up, and he never stopped being the king of Lenox Avenue. And every time I see him and I look at where he started and where he went, and he's still here, it gets me up on Saturday morning to say, your change will come. Your change will come. Your change will come. Your change will come. Your National Action Network Change Ensemble, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly, I'm happy to be here another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here live in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and for you that are around the country watching on various platforms, we're happy to be with you another Saturday to give a report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. And certainly to all that have spoken, so happy Reverend K.W. Toulis flew in from LA to be with us. And our ministers that have come, Reverend Byrd flew over from 138th Street. But let me tell you something, and I'm so honored that you come out. My birthday's Monday. We're doing this as my birthday celebration. And I have a special guest, and she has to campaign for us. Let me recognize, though, I got some people want to recognize the audience. My brother's in the audience, State Senator, stand-up John Liu, that's my brother. And you can tell John Liu is my brother. He's humble, Kevin Parker's my brother, and he's cocky. He walked right up to the front. Didn't nobody invite him up to the front. He just walked on up here like, like he paid rent up in here. Senator Kevin Parker's in the house. Councilwoman Joseph, all right, stand up. Julie Menon, I heard her talking, I was listening to the broadcast. But let me tell you, is Inez here? The queen of Harlem. Past, present, and future queen. Inez Dickens. Don't mess with us about Inez. I also have to recognize in the audience the daughter, one of the daughters of Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz, Malik Stanner. Malik Shabazz is with us today. Today is her 57th birthday. The brother of George Floyd, Terrence Floyd, my brother. The daughter of Eric Garner got a book coming out this week, Emerald Garner. Let me tell you something, we are just a few weeks off from Election Day. And we are facing a serious, serious threat if we do not put the right people in office. And you can sit around and play all you want. Everything you complaining about will not happen unless you have the right people in office. I'm going to deal with later in my talking. They have a case this Tuesday that is going before the Supreme Court, the Merrill versus Milligan case, that can threaten to take away the rest of the Voting Rights Act. They already took out the section that has pre-clearance. This would take out where you can't even use race in redistricting, which we came out of Alabama, where there's now only one black district, congressional district. They are dismantling our rights. And it comes out of Trump. But Trump is one that symbolizes it. The substance is a backlash movement against women and all people that have been in many ways denied. So whether we like each other or not, we're going to have to fight together. And in New York, you got to come out and vote with a passion. They want to take the state legislature another way. They want to take the Congress another way. They would take the governor's office another way. And I don't tell y'all who to vote for, but I can sure tell you who to vote against. We have someone that wanted to come by, and they're campaigning all over the city, but she said, her and her husband said, wait a minute, we're going to go by there. No fanfare, no press announcement to wish him a happy birthday. She works with us when there is no cameras, no lights. She will call me and say, we've got to deal with this, that, or the other. She's like an energizer buddy. And she's always been like that. And I remember when we had this year, the massacre, the racial massacre in Buffalo, how the people up there would talk one by one to me about how she's always worked in that community. And she, since she has been governor, has been as accessible and productive. That is why they attack her. You read the tabloids every day, they come up with a new reason to attack her and have a group ready to picket her like everybody mad at her. You know, you get 20 folks give them a Big Mac and they'll come and march and do whatever you want to do. I said that, she didn't. But I want you to let her give her a greeting because she's got to get on, and I wanted her to come out. That's why I brought out myself, and then I'll be back, and we're going to do another hour on the broadcast. And then I've got to go to Washington and meet the president at the Black Caucus dinner because Charlie Rangel gave me his seat. I didn't recognize one of the Central Park Five, my young brother, Curry White. Stand up. I call all of them because that's what you can't celebrate my birthday without celebrating why my birthday means something. It don't mean something because of the big shots. It's these fights that I fought. Let us welcome the governor of the state of New York for the last year and years to come. Huh? Y'all didn't say that loud enough. Again, we don't, National Action Network doesn't endorse candidates, but we endorse policies. Is that right? Is that right? All right, let's hear from our governor. Give a big hand. Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, House of Justice. All right, I'm fired up, and first of all, to Reverend Al for welcoming me back once again. And you really get a sense of the kind of person he is, even if you didn't know him as well as we all do. He comes up here, and we're celebrating him and his legacy and his decades of contributions to making the movements actually move. And he's here talking about other people. He's talking about the contributions of Adam Clayton Powell and my good friend Charlie Rangel, who was the dean of the delegation when I was so blessed to be elected to Congress, and he reached his hand out to me in friendship and said, we'll stand together. But he doesn't acknowledge the fact that just like he was inspired by people like Charlie and Adam, members of our family, he inspires others as well. And let's talk about the fact that there are young people out there who know that he's out there leading the fight and inspiring them to take up that torch and make sure it glows even brighter for the next generation. That's what Reverend Al Sharpton does every single day, and he needs to get recognition for that as well. Not just on his birthday, which is a time to look back at his life and legacy, but also where he's taking us forward. And I look forward to going forward with him in many years to come as we do suit up for battle, because I'm a fighter. I'm not from Harlem, but I'm from Buffalo, okay? So I like a good fight. I come from a steel town. My dad worked at a steel plant. My grandpa worked there. We didn't come from a lot. My parents used to live in a trailer park. We've come a long way. But the reason I tell you that story is because my job, my moral responsibility as your governor is to make sure that every young person, regardless of their circumstances or their zip code or the color of their skin, has the same shot at the American dream that my family gave me. That's what I want to do as your governor. That's why I'm going to continue working with the National Action Network and, of course, continue a great partnership and friendship with Reverend Al Sharpton. So, to you, I say happy birthday from a grateful state for your leadership and many, many more. Thank you, Reverend Al.
Give him a hand, Governor Hochul. Let me say as well as we move on, let me talk about for a second. With the Congressional Black Caucus, I was down Thursday and Friday, and I'll be back, like I said, this afternoon. And one of the things that we have got to be very clear about is there is a tremendous effort. Let's welcome our Impact TV audience. There is a tremendous effort to push back where we have come from in our community and in other marginalized communities, and it is serious. If the right wing takes the Senate and the House of Representatives, everything that we are talking about will be history. You need to understand that. We did not get the John Lewis bill, and we did not get the George Floyd bill. We got the executive order from Biden, and Biden did do that, strong executive order on policing. And I keep reminding people talk about, well, executive orders don't mean nothing. The Emancipation Proclamation wasn't nothing but an executive order. The 13th Amendment freed us. It was the Emancipation Proclamation. We are, Congressman Rangel, we ought to be having 13th Amendment Day. We have Emancipation Day. But we will have none of that if the right wing takes the Senate and the Congress. You will not have John Lewis voting bill. You will not be able to revisit that. We did get the Inflation Reduction Act that we are seeing go in communities that have been ignored. We did get the Climate Change Act. We did get a lot of things, including some of y'all are still alive because somebody else took over the White House that wasn't telling you to put bleach in your arms.
All right, listen.
That crowd is just a couple of seats away. And I'm talking because we Impact TV's all over the country. We are just a couple of seats away, 5 to be exact, of taking the House. If they take the House, Pelosi is no longer Speaker. So she does not set the chairs of the committees and the calendar of the legislation. So they won't even have to vote you down. You won't even be on the calendar. They will have a chairman of the committee. There will not be a committee to find out about January 6th. They'll be running around looking for dirt on Biden's son and your daughter. So this ain't about do you like the candidates, it's do you like yourself. I called my radio show out there, well, you know, I believe we ought to have options. Options means that somebody is offering you this and somebody else is offering you that. They're not offering you nothing. You have no option with the right wing. I remember when I was in Tilton High School, everybody was talking about who they was going to the prom with. And this one girl was running around talking about who she wasn't going with, and none of us asked her to go. When I tell people, I turned Al down. I didn't ask you to go to prom with me. Y'all trying to act like the right wing want y'all. Y'all trying to act like there is a choice. There is no choice. The only choice is whether you gonna vote or not. Well, you know I ain't into politics, Reverend. Yes, you are. You're just not voting in politics. Every drop of food you eat, approved by the FDA, or they can't sell it. Food and Drug Administration. That bacon you eating, that listen to me at home, was FDA approved. Them clothes you wearing, the apparel people had to approve it. You can't just walk, open up a shop and put up what you want. I tell folk here every Saturday, I don't say when we have big company like Rangel, but I tell you even your drawers have been approved. So you into politics. Your children go to school based on politics. You stop at the street light based on politics. You buy houses based on politics. So why would everything be political and you're not going to participate by voting and letting people make decisions for you? and you're not going to decide who they are. We need to understand that. I know some of the guys at Congressman Rangel know, revolutionaries, overthrow, we going to do this our way. And they get older and come talk about where's my Social Security. I thought you didn't believe in the system. Rebel, let me send my Social Security check. Where's a revolutionary Social Security? God told me the other day, I'm not with all what you're talking about, Reverend, I'm a Marxist. I said, Marx was in Germany. There wasn't no black folks in Germany. He wasn't talking about you. Whether it's Marx or the capitalists, I want to know what is going to take care of us. Well, I'm not a capitalist. You ain't got no capital. Our problem with capitalism is we never had no capital. Whatever your ideology, we need to protect ourselves this election day. And I'm telling you, if we don't, all of the things that we are worried about will be done by doubles or triples. And I want us to really understand that these people are organized. If you look at the polling numbers, in about 5 states, if they take the Senate, I mean, I can't even believe. I see Reverend Michael Walron come in. Give him a hand, Reverend Walron, first name. Walron went to Morehouse College where Raphael Warnock went. And Warnock is tied in some polls with Herschel Walker, who believes the earth is flat. Imagine him in the Senate talking about they still giants. No, they literally said this now. And he's tied for the U.S. Senate. Scared me to death. I was hoping I was dreaming, but they played me the video of him saying this. And you got black men in Georgia. I'm talking to y'all in Georgia. Talking about, well, I don't know if I'm gonna vote. All these black women got everything. Folk don't want to talk about this stuff. I talk about it. Because I want you to understand how ignorant it is. As my mother used to say, ignorant. It don't even deserve 3 syllables, ignorant. It's ignorant. God called me, and the polls are saying that black men are lower than black women on the polls in Georgia. I don't want the black woman, Stacey Abrams and them. They gave a black woman the Supreme Court, black woman vice president, black woman running Florida, Georgia, and all that. First reason that we have so many black women is because you black men didn't stand up and run. Let's start there. Stacey didn't beat a black man for the nomination, wasn't none running. You were scared of Kemp. You were scared of the Trumpers in Georgia. And if you was home scared talking smack, don't complain when a black woman stood up and did what you wouldn't do. Second thing, we need black women to stand up because for many years we held them back. Because you were insecure and felt the only way you could be a man is somebody had to walk behind you. But they were back there pushing you, trying to make you the man that you should and could be. Don't be mad at them. Lastly, all this anti-woman thing. Everybody born was born through a woman. There is none born that didn't come through a woman. And I'm gonna tell you something, when we were looking for how to deal with Georgia, and Stacey Abrams had made this, I think, historic move last time, we started trying to find candidates that could represent us in the U.S. Senate. And Senator Schumer called me and said, you got to help me talk to Reverend Warnock.
Yes, I did.
And he called others. And I want those watching us in Georgia to understand that we cannot lose the Senate. If we lose the Senate, and if the majority leader is not in the hands of those that fight for blacks and women and gays and Latinos and Asians, we will never get the legislation that we've gotten in the last year and 2 years. You know, I was telling President Biden at the hate summit Thursday before last, I've not seen a president. Now, I want to get the John Lewis bill. I want to get George Floyd bill. But the other bills that he did get through, they're not giving him credit for because we're listening to the opposition. Yes. And they're not on our side. Not one Republican voted for the John Lewis bill. Not one. They run around talking about y'all didn't get John Lewis. Yeah, because all of y'all voted against it. 2 Democrats didn't come in, and we gonna get 2 more seats. We gonna get this. So we have no choice but to do what is right. I'm not, as an organization, endorsing anybody, but I'm telling you who is our opposition. And I don't have to tell you because they're telling you themselves. You can vote for Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani's folk, or you can vote for the folk that's on your side. And we lived under Giuliani in New York. We know what that means. And we know Donald Trump. We know him well. We know him very well. Donald Trump was in New York, stand up against Kerry Weiss, and said this young boy should be executed for a rape in Central Park that he never did. But he never stood up and said a word about Howard Beach or Bensonhurst. Every case we've seen, he had laryngitis. But if he could race bait on Central Park, race bait on Muslims having a mosque down World Trade, he would speak up. You have no choice but to stand up for yourself. But there's one man that always was there, even when it was controversial. He would stand up and speak for, speak with us, and put his political life on the line to stand for what's right. And that's why I'm honored to have him here on my birthday weekend, the majority leader of the United States Senate, Senator Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Happy birthday. And I want to say something here. You know, this is not actually the Reverend's birthday. It's October 3rd, right? Guess what's going to happen on October 3rd? For the first time, Ketanji Brown Jackson will hear her first argument on the Supreme Court, and it wouldn't have happened Sharpton pushing and pushing and pushing. Oh yeah. Well, it's great to be here with all of you on this wonderful celebratory day. We are celebrating a lot that we got done, but we got more to get done. Not only did we get Ketanji Brown Jackson on the court, we have now picked 80 new federal judges. Guess what, folks? 2/3 are people of color. We're changing the bench. 3 of the 4 U.S. attorneys here in New York State with power to look over criminal justice matters are African American. I appointed them. And here's the most amazing news, which the press hasn't picked up on. We need to pick up 2 seats in the Senate, right? That means we got to keep the 4 incumbents, including Reverend Warnock, but we have 5 challengers who can win. In Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida. Of those 5 challengers, 3 are African American. We're going to change how the U.S. Senate looks as well. Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin, Sherry Beasley in North Carolina, and our great Senate candidate in Florida as well. Isn't that great? So that's good. Now, I'm not gonna take too much time. We got a very distinguished group here, all chomping at the bit, waiting to speak and say happy birthday to this great man. So I'm gonna conclude by telling you a little story about my dad, who passed away in November. He would have been 99 on Flag Day. That's gonna relate to this birthday fella. So my grandpa was a labor organizer, and he worked in the paper mills in Utica, New York. He was one of the founders of the Paper Workers Union up there. World War II occurs, my dad enlists, okay? Pearl Harbor. And they give him a test, he scores very high, and so they give him top secret clearance and teach him radar. Radar was brand new in those days. His main job was to see airplanes, but it had a secondary job, was to see mountains, because the Allies were flying over the highest mountains in the world, the Himalaya Mountains, to supply their allies in inland China. But it was a very perilous mission, because the Japanese Zero airplanes would chase these big C-45, C-47 freighters into the mountains. The mountains were enshrouded in clouds. And so they would chase them in, they would crash into the mountains, very perilous. My dad flew 20 missions. He helped perfect radar. He was shot at all the time by the Japanese Zeros, never hit. The only injury he got a parasite in the airfield in Burma where he was stationed, lost all his hair. When I became a congressman, he says to me, now that you're a congressman, can I get my Purple Heart? I said, it's not for parasites, Dad. In any case, World War II is over. Grandpa has lost his job as a union organizer, and he buys a little exterminating business in Brooklyn. But my grandpa's an idealist. He's a big-hearted man. So he goes to people's houses and he sees they're poor and he says, you know, you shouldn't have rats, you shouldn't have roaches, you pay me when you can. He told the 3 workers in his business how to organize a union to ask him for money, and he promised he'd pay them more than he'd paid himself. So when Dad gets home, he's the oldest of all the boys, they're starving. He goes into this junkie business. He spends 45 years struggling in this horrible business, very hard. He never complained. I never even heard him utter words of resentment against others that got a better break than him. But for those of you who've lost parents who you've been close to, he's still with me. He's next door to me, right here, talking to me. And he taught me 2 values above all which shaped my life, but they're going to be very relevant here. The first value is help people who need help. And the more they need help, he said, that's God's noble calling, to help people who need help. And second, he said, when you're undertaking something important, look in your heart, make sure you're doing the right thing, and never give up. If you persist and persist and persist, God will reward you and you will succeed. Those values shape my life, but my father is looking at this man and saying he has lived those values. He has lived those values. He is always helping people who need help, and the more they need help, the more he does. And he has persisted. We knew each other when we were 20-year-olds in Brooklyn. There were so many barriers thrown in this man's way. So many big barriers that other people would have said, I can't climb over that mountain. I can't cross that ocean. I can't dig that ditch. They'd give up. And we all know at any time, given his talent, he could have left and made money and had a nice life and all that other stuff. But he persisted, and he persisted, and he persisted, and he will persist until we succeed in making America the just and equal nation that the founding fathers thought it should live up to be eventually. So thank you. God bless you. God bless Reverend Sharpton, and God bless this great, great day of happy birthday for us.
Senator Chuck Schumer. Let me say that we are definitely committed to keeping this going. Let me bring on now the borough president of Manhattan to give a statement, Borough President Mark Levine.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. I love being in Nan, but the balloons work. It's a whole nother level today. On the way over here, Reverend, I checked Wikipedia to see how old you are. So either someone has hijacked Wikipedia and put a false number on there, or you are looking at least 15 years younger than your real age. I am very, very impressed. I'm not going to say the number because that's on the Reverend. He might not want that public. But trust me, he is as vital and energetic as ever. And as the senator said, he got this the hard way. Everything the Reverend has accomplished, he's done walking uphill with a heavy backpack on. And a lesser person would have given up and turned around and gone back downhill. Thank goodness the Reverend never did that, because we need his voice now more than ever. The challenges we are confronting in this city and country need the voice of Reverend Sharpton more than ever. There are plenty of people who are good at repeating slogans. That's actually very easy to do. Few people have the full view of our society and its challenges the way Reverend Sharpton does. He understands, of course, we must keep our communities safe. We must keep them safe. He also understands we cannot do that by repeating the failed mistakes of brutal, overly aggressive policing that we've seen in the past. He understands both sides of that. He understands that we must create an economy which is more prosperous. We must grow our economy, but we cannot do that by repeating the pattern we've seen for generations, where marginalized communities are left out of that prosperity, where black and brown entrepreneurs are not given a chance to succeed, where MWBEs are not getting adequate government contracts. Reverend Sharpton understands both sides of that challenge. He understands we need a Democratic Party that is true to its roots in social justice, in economic justice and racial justice, and also grows through a big tent to actually win elections so that we can keep Senator Schumer as our majority leader and grow the number of senators in that chamber. So we're no longer reliant on two very, very shaky pillars in that body. We won't name them, or maybe we will. Manchin and Sinema. So that we're no longer reliant on those votes. Reverend Sharpton understands what it takes to win elections. His voice is more vital than ever for America, for New York City, for Manhattan, and I am thrilled to stand here partnering with you on your birthday weekend and every day. Happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton.
Let me bring on my brother from Queens, Senator John Lew. Where'd John Lew go? All right, then I will not be bringing on John Lew. I'll bring on my other brother, Senator Kevin Park.
So on behalf of John Lew, good morning, National Action Network. I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. I represent the 21st District in Brooklyn, which is Flatbush and East Flatbush, Midwood, Ditmas Park, Windsor Terrace, and Park Slope. I'm the majority whip in the New York State Senate, as well as the chairman of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee, and it really, I'm proud to share this stage in this moment. First with our great governor, who I'm endorsing, Kathy Hochul. We must come out and vote for her. She has been fantastic in the job, has been somebody, as you've heard Reverend Sharpton indicate, has been somebody who has been both a leader, but somebody who's been very accessible and has worked with us. And certainly the Republican on the other side is no friend of ours. Is somebody who's going to continue to try to turn back women's rights, particularly reproductive health rights, and that's somebody that we can really count on. Certainly, I'm happy to be here with with Charlie Rangel. Please give it a round of applause. And then all my colleagues in government, good morning, and it's good to see you all, including you, Mike. Good to see you. Look, I want to just say happy birthday to Reverend Sharpton, and I came from Brooklyn to do that. But not for the same reasons that everybody else has. And the work, obviously, that he's done as a civil rights leader, as somebody who's a commentator, and really speaks truth to power, particularly on behalf of black people, but underprivileged people across our country. Somebody who has stood up time after time, regardless of the fight. I'm really here because he is somebody who's been a friend and a mentor. And somebody that not just have I watched his example, that anytime, he talks about other people being accessible, but as big as he is, he's always accessible. And that's something that I have seen firsthand, that I am appreciative of, that in moments in which I need advice or counsel, times when I've been in trouble myself, y'all don't hear me, church, when I've been in trouble myself, and I needed somebody that could talk to and understood what I was going through, that he was somebody I could count on. And so I'm here to say, to God be the glory for bringing this man to us at this place and this time, for allowing him to be the leader that we needed in many seasons across our lives. And we continue to ask that you continue to have health, wealth, prosperity, befitment, that you continue to have the vision and most importantly, the favor of the Most High. So, Reverend Sharpton, thank you so much for all that you do for all of us, but thank you for what you've done for me. And I wasn't able to make it out to your event, your 12th Annual Triumph Awards this summer, but we did do a New York State Senate proclamation, so I just want to present this to you today in lieu of your birthdays. You can act like it's for your birthday, but it's really for the Triumph Awards.
All right, Senator Kevin Parker. How many of y'all enjoyed the Triumph Awards the other night? Let me bring on now a brother that we all know and love because he's here often. And let me tell you something, if they are not criticizing you, you're not doing nothing. I judge people by who are their enemies and who are their critics. And if they are criticizing you and they're the ones that criticize us, then I know which side you're on. I'm scared of folk that's against me like them, cause there's a reason. And I want to bring on a brother, he's weathered the storm and still keeps fighting. And we go fight with him, the District Attorney of Manhattan County, Alvin Bragg.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Happy birthday. I'm honored to be here this morning. I'm just humbled. I'm sitting next to the chairman, sitting in front of my longtime friend, Inez Dickens, and on this stage with so many others. So just humbled to be in the number. But I want to continue with what Senator Parker said. I'm just here to say thank you. We talk so much about all of his work over the years, but I want to say thank you to Reverend Sharpton for your mentorship. He's not just doing the work, he is bringing along people like me, the next generation. So he's seeing the long picture, and I'm so grateful to that personally. And then I see the other people he's mentoring as well. So I want to say thank you for the mentorship. I want to say as district attorney, I'm so thankful that he always talks both about public safety and fairness in the exact same breath. I think our borough president said it. So it's talking about public safety, but not looking back to these brutal practices of the past. I want to say thank you to Reverend Sharpton for always lifting that message up. I want to say thank you for the work that he does to make my job easier. All the work that Nan does, the Nan Youth Huddle, I see you, Ashley, the health care, the counseling, the education work, all that work I see as your district attorney, that's public safety work. It's strengthening our community and making us safer. And then I want to just mention two matters that are so near and dear. He had Corey Wise stand up. When we vacated
Stephen Lopez's conviction, the 6th person who was charged in the rape of the Central Park jogger, I knew I had to come that Saturday. I came right here because Reverend Sharpton was here. He was here talking about that back when Donald Trump had that ad in the paper 40 years ago. So I want to thank him for his leadership there, and I knew I had to come stand right here in this place. And the other matter, and I don't see her here this morning, but we know Reverend Sharpton has also stood shoulder to shoulder with my former client, Gwen Carr, in the fight for justice for Eric Garner. So those are just 2 matters that I've had the privilege of sitting and seeing close up. So, Reverend Sharpton, may God continue to bless you, make his face shine upon you so we can all continue to do this work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Give him a hand. I was reminded of a song that James Brown sang. And y'all know James Brown was like a father to me. And we've heard the governor this morning. We've heard Senator Schumer and others. But I remember James Brown made a song, "People, people, we got to get over before we go under." Remember that song? He said, "I need to be the mayor so I could change some things around here." Well, Reverend, I am the mayor now, the mayor of the city of New York, Mayor Eric Adams.
Thank you so much. You know, it's been a long journey. When you think about 1954, Reverend Sharpton's birth, and I think that was the same time when the important Supreme Court ruling was handed down that separate but equal was not constitutionally firm in the area of the Board of Education fights and battles that we've had. I think that was symbolic of that birth during that year, that ruling during that year, and having a person that has been just consistent on the issues of fighting for equality throughout these years, being a childhood preacher, growing up under the leadership of those like Reverend Jesse Jackson and other prominent leaders. Some of the great pastors during that time saw something special in Reverend Sharpton and allowed him to hone his craft of knowing how to deliver a message that would be complete, thorough, and clear. And we need that message now more than ever. And when we look at from the days of painting crack houses to point out the devastation of crack, the days of being there when President Barack Obama made the decision to run for president and other people ran in the other directions, Sharpton decided to run with him. When we look at fighting police brutality, I remember the days when over a police radio, someone made threatening comments against his life, and we decided with 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care and others to be there for him and his family as they went through the journey, because we saw so many of our civil rights leaders were taken from us prematurely. But never stopping, just consistent, keep moving forward as we fought for the rights that we deserve. And so this celebration of his birthday is more than just a celebration of another day on earth, because a lot of people just go through the motions. A lot of people are modern day ATM machines. All they do is withdraw, don't put anything back. He has put something back year after year after year after year after year. And I like to always remind folks that I'm just not a new friend. Just not a new friend. You know, if people would just spend a moment and do something scientific, just Google us. Just Google us. If you would just go and see the parallel of the relationship and see over and over and over again, from the days of navigating a police department, the days of becoming a state senator, from the days of becoming the first black bar president, from the days of becoming the mayor of the city of New York. He had this special eyesight that can look at a person who others may think is not suitable to do, but he'll see the beauty in it. I mean, he saw this kid that was dyslexic, arrested, rejected. Now I'm elected, I'm the mayor of the city. But it's through a person that no matter what, will stand with you. No matter what. He would call me sometimes when I'm in the midst of the fire, because good friends walk in the room when others walk out. He would call me in the midst of it and say, let me just give you some of these pearls that I've known, because this is a person that has lived through crises. And there's nothing worse than instructions from crisis-less folks. Never gone through anything, never know what it is to be demonized, ostracized, and then they want to give you advice. But this is a person that has been on the front line of fire. And others will say that, you know, I've done my time on the front line. But if you try to take Reverend Sharpton off the front line, you in for a fight. This is a front line warrior. It's easy to sit in the bleachers of life and talk about how well the warrior is doing on the field. But as Roosevelt stated in his speech of the man in the arena, the credit does not go to the critic. Does it go to the person who points out how the doer of deeds could have done them better? The credit actually goes to the man or woman who face is marred with sweat, dust, and blood, who's willing to get in the arena. Reverend Sharpton has been willing to get in an arena. And no matter what one states, when they look at this amazing life, they can't help but to sit in awe of not saying what he could have done, but what he has done. What he has done. And part of his list of accolades will point out that one of his members, one of his founding members of the National Action Network, went on to break political records, being first black bar president, being the second black mayor, being a person that learned from this organization and the National Action Network. This is my home. And the person that has been the leader of this movement, we celebrate and we lift up today. I am so proud that out of countless number of people who have supported and know him throughout the years, countless number of people he has endorsed, countless number of people he has helped to reach the level of political prominence that they deserve in other professional capacities. I know that I sit among the few that can clearly state, this is my friend. Happy birthday, my friend.
Mayor Eric Adams. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm about an hour, I'm on the flight to get back to the Black Caucus, and I always tease Eric Adams, but I'm not teasing. Mayor is just part of what he's going to do. He ain't through yet, but he had to help correct New York. And let me tell you something. The reason when they criticize him, they're criticizing us.
That's right.
A reporter stopped me the other day and said, Reverend Al, what about this, that, and other? I said, let me tell you something. Eric Adams was inaugurated in January of this year. It is now just the first day of October. When the reporter asked me that, it was in the early part of September. You need 9 months to make a baby. Y'all wanted him to come in 9 months and heal crime, education, pandemic in 9 months. You wasn't born in that. In 9 months, you would sit up in your mama's womb, chilling for 9 months. When she started contracting labor pains, then you say, I guess I'll step on out here. Y'all act like he been the mayor for 12 years. 9 months. Y'all voted one day, he got inaugurated 2 months later, and y'all got on the bus stop, and the bus was late saying, Eric ain't got the buses here on time. But look at where we have turned the direction and the tone of the city around. There's hope back in the city now. And there is, we're going to move forward, and we're not going to look at what he does. We're going to help and support what he does. He's one of us. And yeah, I'm his friend, and he's been out. He's never forgot where he come from. And let me tell you something, a lot of people that support him that don't want him to have associations with movement people. He tell, wait a minute, that's where I am, I'm part of that. And he was that when he was in the police department. When he said he came and they did 24-hour protection of me and my family, God sent over a radio, police radio, that we're gonna take out Sharpton. And they gave us the support, 100 black men, which he founded. And the police was mad at him for doing that. And man, he would go to police brutality rallies when he was an officer in the police department. And when walked around there was some blacks talking about, we don't want him, he's a cop. And it was the movement that told him to let's put people in the police department. Never stop. You remember that back in the day and they talked about that he was a cop. And I was nonviolent. They was Ugawa. They gonna do this. Before you got here, Mr. Mayor, I told them the same one wanted to overthrow the government, calling me now, talking about their Social Security check is late. I told them, you don't supposed to be getting nothing from the government. Elected revolutionaries. Pension fund revolutionaries. Hello. Well, I ain't supposed to be speaking today. Let me bring on the Queen of Harlem. Got to hear some words. Inez Dickens.
Good morning, family. No justice. No justice. All right. Now, this morning, we're here to recognize the man, Reverend Al Sharpton. And we have heard phenomenal speakers. And as they say in the church, precedents haven't been established, so I won't acknowledge all my city government colleagues and my state colleagues, Kevin and John. But there's one thing, Mr. Mayor, and we support you. I stood with you when no one from Manhattan did. Congressman Rangel and I stood up for you and carried your petitions and worked. But I want to just correct one thing. I'm proud that you were the first black girl president. However, that was from Brooklyn. Brooklyn. You know why? Because a black borough president in 1954 with Hochul and Jack. So, you know, Harlem been working it a long time. I just thought, I just had to, you know, stick that little pin in it and let you know about it, you know. Sorry about that. I love you anyway, you know, but I wanted you to know. And Reverend Sharpton talked about the lines. Now, I want everyone here to be clear. They've been having public hearings because the Republicans, the right-wingers, they sued to change the lines that the Congress, that the Senate, and that the Assembly had drawn, and the City Council now. And they all had to be redrawn. And let's not get it twisted. We worked very hard to ensure, and I fought hard 10 years ago, and then I carried it forward today for the City Council lines. Even though I'm not in the council, I fought for those lines to protect a black majority for Harlem. And they're using the census report, of which because of gentrification, we've got a lot of other people that moved into the community. So, you know, I had to kind of move those lines around to ensure that there would be a black majority, because there's only one black person in the City Council from Manhattan. And so we've got to keep that in mind. And when we had those meetings over Schaumburg, it was very, very minimally attended by people from Harlem. But they were there from Staten Island and over the East Side, and they were fighting for their lines. And there were just a few of us fighting for the Harlem lines. So Harlem, do what you do best. You put the first black borough president in the city of New York. You elected the first black mayor of the city of New York. Let's put it together and let's fight, because if we lose these lines, we will begin to lose having black electeds. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about black electeds to all the 3 levels of government. So this is a fight we've got. And I don't want you to ever forget it, because we're celebrating the man that not only has been in the midst of crisis, but has created crises in order to try to correct the racism, the hate, and the murdering of black and brown people in this country. So he not only was in the midst of crisis, he has created crises to bring attention to the world. So we owe him an awful lot, because he has stood up when it was unpopular, when no one stood with him, he was by himself, when they would let him in and then bring him out with his hands in shackles behind his back. Let's talk about that. Let's be real about that. And he stood all by himself. None of us was with him when he did many of these things. Now today we're all out here saying, oh, Reverend Sharpton, we love you. But I remember the day when nobody was saying that. When nobody was saying that. And I want to thank Congressman Rangel for bringing to the attention the work that he did as a youth. See, he didn't just start this 10 years ago. See, he didn't just start this 20 years ago. He did this from childhood. And that's what we've got to begin to do with our future, our youth, is educate them from childhood and bring them up, that they've got to be politically active in order for us to get generational wealth and be a part of the political process in this country. Now, I'm going to say one thing as I leave. Whereas America has tried and wholly failed to overcome the cancer that prevents this country from fully realizing the ideals of its own creed, it became necessary for those who were willing, who were not frightened, to stand up, to find it within themselves the power and the strength to speak truth to the orchestrated negative circumstances that affected people of color. And that's what Reverend Al Sharpton did. So today we say happy blessed birthday, Reverend. Today we say we stand with you, but we cannot just celebrate one day. Because if you really believe in him, it means we've got to stand up and celebrate him every single day. God bless Harlem. In power, there is vote. Thank you. God bless.
Beautiful. Give another hand. Inez Dickens. Let me go home to Brooklyn. Let us hear from our councilwoman, Brooklyn, sitting here with us, Crystal Hudson. Give her a hand.
Good morning. I was going to shout you out too, Reverend Kennedy. I see you. Thank you. It is on the shoulders not just of Reverend Sharpton that I stand, but also on folks like Reverend Kennedy there in the back. So good morning and thank you. My name is Crystal Hudson. I'm a council member all the way from Brooklyn. I am also chair of the Aging Committee in the New York City Council, and most people, when they look at my youthful looks, wonder how I got to be chair of the Aging Committee in the New York City Council. But I'll tell you, I cared for my mother who had Alzheimer's disease for 8 years. I've been advocating for older adults for about as long. And I want to make New York City the best place for all of us to grow older. And I want to talk about, for a quick second, a report that I published last year called The Black Agenda for New York City. And a lot of the feedback I got about writing a Black Agenda for New York City, which is a 34-page policy report on the ways I know that local government is capable of undoing and addressing all of the all of the racist, the anti-Black policies, practices, and laws that we have on the books. But people said to me, what about an Asian agenda? What about a Latinx agenda? What about a white agenda? And I had to remind people, America is the white agenda. But the Black agenda is not meant to be exclusive, it's meant to be inclusive. When you fight for and advocate for Black people, when you lift up Black people, everybody rises. So a Black agenda is not saying, let's not talk about Asians, let's not talk about the Latinx community, let's not talk about any other communities of color. What we're saying is, when we are deliberate and intentional about Black people, when Black people thrive, everyone thrives. But it's not easy to always talk about Black people, talk about race and racism, and the Reverend Sharpton has been doing that longer than I've been alive. And as everyone else that's come before me has said, it's never been easy. People have not always celebrated him and who he is. And as Black people, we know we're not a monolith. We don't always agree on everything. But we still have to talk about and uplift the people for whom we wouldn't be here without. For we wouldn't have what we have today without people like Reverend Sharpton. And we don't know each other well. I met him for the first time at a birthday party recently, and I told him that he used to live around the corner from me. And you never know who's watching you. You never know where those people may end up, the rooms that you might be in together. And so for all of the leaders, I hope that we all will remember that there are always going to be folks watching you, your every move, be inspired by you. And I'm just so happy and thrilled and honored to be here to wish the Reverend a very happy birthday. Thank you.
Give her a hand. She told me at that party she lived around the corner from me. I wanted to know if she was there when they evicted me from that place. It wasn't always the way it is now. I want to end and I'm going to raise the offering. I'm going to give all of y'all a chance to celebrate my birthday by emptying your pockets. But I want to close by hearing from my friend, and then we're going to raise the offering quickly because I got to make this plain. I got to speak at the caucus thing tonight on Representative Charlie Rangel. It was a time Rangel was the only one to invite me to the dinner. Now they put me on the program. And I never did pay him for my seat at his table. But that's true. I used to sit every year with Congressman Rangel and Alma. But I want to hear from my friend, my little brother, the senior pastor at First Corinthian Baptist Church, member of our national board, Reverend Michael Walrock.
Good morning, man. I'm going to be very brief. Rev has to go. I don't have to come here and talk about all that Reverend Al Sharpton has done. I think we all know that, and not only we know it, but history will remember that. And there will not be many Americans in the future, those who have not even been born yet, who will not know the name of Al Sharpton. I was a young boy growing up in a town called Roosevelt on Long Island. And as a young man growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, I always saw Reverend Sharpton on TV, protesting, fighting for the rights of our people. I never dreamt in those days that I would be in a position to even meet Reverend Sharpton. I left New York and I went to college, and I then started pastoring in 1996 in North Carolina, still seeing on TV Reverend Sharpton leading the fight, leading the charge. Radical consistency. Rev often says there are people who show up to make sound bites and for the cameras. It takes a different kind of grit and perseverance to be there when no one pays attention to you, because you're committed to your people. I came here in 2004 back to New York to lead First Corinthian Baptist Church. Nobody was really thinking about First Corinthian. And even then, still saw Rev on the TV, leading the good fight. One year early in my tenure at FCBC, there was a wedding there. I was there, not officiating, but it was early in my tenure, and they told me that Reverend Sharpton was going to be doing the wedding. And I said, this is my chance to finally meet Al Sharpton. He was coming to FCBC. I was a pastor. I was going to be there. And Rev came in, and we had heard of one another and actually talked on the phone briefly one time. But I finally got to meet someone who I had seen from afar for over 20 plus years. And I got to tell you, I was nervous because of who he is and what he represents for us. And we talked, and I tried to make some small talk, and then he did something that shocked me. He said, Reverend, are you hungry? I said, and I'm gonna tell you, Rev, I wasn't hungry, but I said, yes, I am hungry. He said, let's go to dinner. Blew me away. Nobody knew me. Wasn't doing much yet. And it says something about someone who is not caught up in who people think you are, but when he sees your potential and possibility. He saw my potential and possibility, and we went to eat, and I was in awe just sitting in his presence. And he made me feel comfortable in my own skin. From that moment on, Rev has been consistent in my life. He knows of my health issues whenever I've been sick. He's always checked on me. In 2018, I had a massive stroke, almost died. I was in a hospital, and I don't have very many memories because I was not all there when I was in the hospital after the stroke. But one day I remember opening my eyes in the bed, And I looked at the foot of the bed, and Reverend Sharpton was standing there. Check on me. Here's what I know. When you have a friend, it makes the world a less scary place. When you have a friend who believes in you, who pours into you, who mentors you, who believes in you, who speaks into your spirit, who does it when he doesn't have to, makes the world a less scary place. Oprah once said, and I consider her a sage of the modern time, she said, a mentor is someone who helps you to see the hope inside of yourself. Rev, I want to thank you for helping me see the hope inside of me. There are many things that I think Reverend Al Sharpton at the end of these days will be judged for. And there are people who will say yay or nay. But at the end of the day, we're not here celebrating Senator Al Sharpton, Congressman Al Sharpton, City Council Member Al Sharpton, or even President Al Sharpton. We're here celebrating Reverend Al Sharpton. And with all the accolades that he has garnered over the years, there's no one on this dais or in this community who has the authority to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. How will he be measured? And the only way those of us who honor the carpenter are measured. I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was sick and in prison and you visited me. Naked and you clothed me. Welcome me into your joy. That is how we measure people who are transcendent figures in life. Transcendent because who they are is bigger than what we could ever imagine. And so here we are. Rev, happy birthday. Thank you for everything you mean to people who you don't even know. And thank you for everything you mean to people who you do know. And thank you, most of all, for having strong wings.
Reverend Michael Walron. And let me thank you, Reverend Walron, for paying for dinner that night when I invited you. Let's get ready to raise our offering. New York City chapter has a presentation. I'm going to raise the offering, and I'm going to head to the airport. Come on, whatever presentation y'all got, come on with it. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it.
Happy birthday, Reverend Sharpton, from the NAN New York City Harlem chapter committees. Happy birthday.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you so much. All right, let's raise our offering. Let's move quickly. Want everybody to give to the best of their ability. Thank you, Don Jones. I need about 10 people to start this offering out. Thank you. Women's Auxiliary, thank you. I need about 10 people to give $100 or more. Reverend Bird, $100. Winston Gilchrist, $100. Guardians, $100. NAN Welcome Committee, $150. Emerald, $100. Reverend Michael Walron, $100. Reverend K.W. Tulis, $100. Anonymous, $100. Mayor of Queensbridge Houses, Mayor Rodney Jones, $100. Jamie Bland, she's been with me all week, $200. Alvin Ponder, $100. Johnny Mack, our international advisor, $100. Membership, $300. Thank you. Sabona, $100. Saboni, $100. $200. From the Huddle, $100. Charlie Rangel, Congressman Rangel, $100. All right, 50s, come on, 50s. 50s. I'm not talking about the rapper, I'm talking about $50. Assemblywoman, Councilwoman, Queen, Inez Dickens, $250. All right, Dulce, $150. Come on, Reverend Kennedy. All right, $84, thank you. Carrie Nordlinger, my godson, $50. Minister Carolyn, $50. Come on, 20s. All right, thank you. Sandra Mitchell, $50. Now everybody, whatever you have, $1, $5, $10, whatever you have. Councilwoman, you come here anytime you want, use the broadcast. We ain't got to agree on everything, but we got to be heard. I'm with you on that black agenda. All right, come on. Happy birthday to me. Councilwoman Joseph, $100. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. One more time. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right, let us all stand. I want everybody to take some of my birthday cake. I'm going to the airport. Let's stand. Oh, man. Sing grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. to me, we're an African people, robbed of our names, our language, our families, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. We can accomplish what we will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Fist bump the one you next to.